Hello and welcome to Sweet Shot Games Dota 2 Pub Stomping with Skywrath Mage Guide. Now, this hero is pretty cool, a lot of fun, and I haven't had a lot of experience with it yet, and so this is just going to be my own personal opinion. I've done a little bit of research on the hero though, and it seems like most people like to play him as a support. However, this is my guide for pub stomping with Skywrath Mage. So Skywrath Mage has a lot of nuking potential. So that's why I like to play him as a solo mid, because I can get the farm and the levels that I need in order to build up the items to sustain my mana pool, since all of his abilities require quite a lot of mana, except for his Q, which is relatively cheap considering his massive beginning mana pool of 350, I think it is about, and he has a relatively high base intelligence. However, he has a really low base attack damage, so you might have a little bit trouble early on trying to get last hits, but you could always use your Q to pick up last hits if you have to. So Arcane Bolt, as I mentioned, is pretty cheap to use. It only costs 70 mana and deals pretty good amount of damage, and so I like to spam this on whoever my opponent is in the lane as much as I can, and then use my bottle and my clarity pot in order to regen my mana and continue to spam the ability on my opponent, therefore giving me some space to farm as well as shutting him down. Now, of course, you want to max this first and get a point into your other two abilities, but mostly just use your Arcane Bolt and only use the other two abilities if you think you can actually get a kill with it. Next, I like to max the Ancient Seal, which will reduce their magic resistance and thereby increasing your magic damage to them, but it'll also silence them for the duration. Finally, max your Concussive Shot and put a point into your ultimate Mystic Flare whenever it's available. Just be careful when using your abilities, because you will run out of mana very quickly. So I like to rush a fast bottle, so I begin with 3 Iron Branches and some regen. And then I like to save up for the mana boots. Once you have your ultimate, you can lay down some nice combos and end up picking up some pretty quick kills. However, like I said, you gotta be very careful with your mana, and as you can see here, I ran out of it, so I wasn't quite able to pick up the kill just then and there. And of course, there was also another hero that showed up, so I got a little worried, so I didn't want to continue to dive that. So I ended up just waiting a little bit for my abilities to come off cooldown, and after I regened a little bit more mana, I went back in for the kill, and this time I made sure to save enough mana for my ultimate, which completely destroys my opponent. So at this point, I basically shut down the Storm Spirit, and with the help of an Invis rune, it's pretty easy for me to pick up a kill on him. Now keep in mind, it's pretty difficult to land a good ultimate, but with a little bit of practice, or even with a setup stun from a teammate, you can land it pretty easily and get the full damage of it onto a hero. And the ability actually has really long cast range, so learn how far you're able to cast it. That way you can help out your teammates if they are quite a distance away from you. And also keep in mind that if you hit more than one hero with it, it will distribute the damage evenly between the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many are in it. Finally, I just want to talk about some items, and first of all, I like to go for the Bloodstone and disassemble my boots in order to build that, and then pick up the Power Treads in order to boost my intelligence. Then from there you can decide, depending on your needs, if you need more mobility, you can get a Force Staff or a Yule Scepter. And if you want some more burst damage, you could pick up a Dagon or an Ethereal Blade, or some better teamfight options like a Sheep Stick or a Veiled Discord. Now go stomp some pubs with Skywrath Mage and let them know how you got so pro.